Hi, I'm Erica from my phone and welcome to another video. Honor of 2024 ending today and we moving into 2025 shortly. I really wanted to get into the pop culture moments of the year. This is not an original video idea. I even took the tier maker from online. I will share my template that I used down in the description below. But I just figured it would be a nice way to wrap up the year, kind of tie up the loose ends of how we felt about different phenomena across pop culture and move on into 2025 feeling clean and refreshed. With that, let's just dive right in. Let's first get into the tier. So we start with Yikes, which is just yikes. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's not a good time. Next we have I Don't Know It Enough or At All. So I didn't actually pick the images that I'm going to use here. So if I can't recognize what they're talking about, or I don't feel comfortable commenting on the situation because I have lack of knowledge or personal association with it, I'm going to put it in that category. Next, we're going to go into I Guess That Happened, where I do recognize what happened and I don't necessarily hate it, but it is just like a thing that happened in the course of 365 days and all the hours and minutes and seconds of that time. And I don't think it's necessarily something that I will really ever think about again. Or I don't necessarily want to think about it again. It just is there. Then we have Dopamine Hit. This is something that lasted for a bit of time and it was definitely something that I enjoyed. And then finally, Absolute Highlight. This is something that I want to return to when I want to think about joy from 2024. This is what I will turn to. This is some of the stuff that I hope goes maybe beyond 2024. And yeah, let's just see how it turns out. First things first, with the presidential debate before Joe Biden dropped out, let's just give that an immediate yikes. Because that was apparently cringeworthy for everyone who saw it. I intentionally decided to go do something else with my time. And I think that was more worth it because yikes. Then we have one of the alternate versions of A Great Impersonator from Halsey. I don't know if this is about the media about her or if this is more just about the record and everything. I'm going to think of it as the record itself and the music and how she really came back and was like, I'm just almost was no longer with all of you, not by my own choosing. But here I am and I'm happy to be back and happy to still provide music for you all. And I think if people actually listen to the music and realize where she was from, this would be something that would be a lot more moving, more life-changing. I am putting it for the music and for the artistry, not for the discourse about it. And just for people wanting to dunk on someone who's already been beaten down by life itself so much that you just don't really need to do that. Now this plane, I don't know if this was a plane crash or was from the strike or when everything went out. I'm just going to put in I don't know it enough or at all because I don't really actually know what. Keep in mind that during half the year, I was in another country. So if it was not something that made airwaves in Europe, where I was in Germany, then it is not something I necessarily paid much attention to. And I don't really know exactly why it's relevant here. Eternal Sunshine, I will say that's an absolute highlight. I love the music of this year. I talked about both Great Impersonator and Eternal Sunshine in my top albums of 2024. So I think it does get to belong here. I feel like Great Impersonator is something that's more relevant now than Eternal Sunshine is, but that might just because Eternal Sunshine happened 9 months ago and that Great Impersonator just only happened 2 months ago. So this might be a recency bias. Universal Music Group. I don't know what happened there. Oh, was that the pulling things off of TikTok? Maybe. I mean, I would put it in I Guess That Happened if it was that, but I don't know exactly what it's referencing, and I'm not on TikTok, so again, not really something that I think about much. Next, we have Chappell Roan. I'm going to put that in absolute highlight. Anyone who's mad about her comments, I pretty much agree with every single one of their comments. I don't know if there's anything that she said that I am not familiar with that I would disagree with, but I think she should have every right to tell you to stop stalking her and for her to be like, I want to have boundaries respected and to have a difference between her public and private life. Just because everyone who's been famous before has had those boundaries violated doesn't mean that she also has to deal with that in order to be in the public eye. I don't think she's trying to be in the public eye. She just wants to make music. Why are we not letting musicians just make music without also having to sacrifice their privacy? I think that's just really a lot to deal with. And the fact that if you're the best doctor or the best lawyer or the best chef, it doesn't mean people are trying to figure out where you live, trying to always get photos with you. not everyone becomes a celebrity even by doing amazing in their field. And I don't think Chappell Roan was intending to be a celebrity when she was making her music. I mean, this album came out and it was just doing a bit of numbers. It was maybe helping her break even on what she put into it. And so this overnight success and her blowing up in the way that she did is something that she was not anticipating and her team was not anticipating. And I think we should be respectful of people while they're going through that. She's a queer woman. She struggles with mental health issues as well. And I think we should be sensitive to that and not make everything about us, because it's not about us at the end of the day. Another highlight is Brat. I love music. Yeah, I do just love music. Brat was a sensation. It helped me get a job. It is just a lovely record, and it's made my 2024 much more fun-filled. I assume this Donald Trump one is about winning the election. We're going to dissociate and just move on. This is the Sky Jackson situation. I'm going to put it, I don't know it enough or at all. From what I hear, it doesn't seem like it was that serious, but I'm not, again, commenting on anything that allegedly has happened because I don't follow Sky's life like that. I don't follow celebrities in that way, and besides anyone potentially getting hurt, it's not really necessarily my business. We have Cowboy Carter. This is also an absolute highlight. I really, honestly, I enjoyed most musical moments that happened this year, whether they were something that was short or long-lasting. I think they were something that I appreciated in this slog that this year could be, this whirlwind that it could be. I feel like I was all over the place. I was literally in probably like 10 different countries across the year. So I was pretty much all over. And I think it makes sense that the music moments help keep me grounded or excited or invigorated throughout that whole process. For Paris 2024, I'm going to put that in the dopamine hit. I loved gymnastics. I loved all the memes from it. I think it was just a good moment of the year. This is something that in 2028 we're going to think too much about. Probably not. We're just going to probably vibe wherever it is located. But it was a good time, and I will look back fondly on it if I am reminded of it. I'm pretty sure this is about Diddy. Yikes. Is there a different answer that you would expect? No. Yikes. Okay, this is Halle Bailey and whoever that trifling man is. I don't know it enough at all. I don't know his name. I don't even know what happened, but we just gonna put it there. Now we have the halftime show. I think that's with Usher, but I see Usher as a later thing. And if I look up the 54th halftime show, that is the one that Shakira and J-Lo did, like back in 2020. So I don't know why it's here, but I'm going to guess that they're meaning Usher, but then they also have a picture of Usher later. So I am going to put that in. I didn't watch it, so I'm just going to say, like, I guess it happened. I heard about it. I didn't think about it much at all, and it does not take up any brain space for me. Microsoft, I think this is about an outage or anything. I don't really even know what's going on, so we're going to move on. And along with this woman, I don't know who this woman is. Sorry, this woman. We're going to continue on. Megan Thee Stallion, I assume, well, it's not her album cover, so I don't really know what it's about. If there was drama with Megan Thee Stallion, is this the Hiss Bigfoot stuff? I'm not a fan of the Bigfoot stuff, but I did like Hiss, and I did like the drama of it. Megan was a great album. Megan Act 2 is a great album. So I'm just going to put it there for loving Megan and Megan being just everywhere pop culture-wise, hosting the VMAs, everything. I'm going to put her there. I guess it's not just her music, but it's just her as a person. I just really like her personality. I like her presence. I think she lights up every space that she enters. So I'm glad to have her here. This is the Justin Timberlake moment, which apparently was well known to people. I heard about this while watching other people's 2024 pop culture moments. So I don't really know what to make of it. I did actually see the tour. I randomly got a free ticket like 2 hours before it happened. And that's cool. So I guess it happened. I don't know. Some people find it funny. Some people find it cringy. I didn't actually watch this moment unfold, but the tour was fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's not a positive encounter that anyone had. So it just really happened, but it's not in the level of yikes that all these other things are. Not really sure what's going on there. Quiet on Set, I think that's the thing about child actors. I again, don't know too much about it, so I don't want to act like it. Is that Ozempic? I'm going to assume that is what that is. If it's not, please correct me. From what I understood, Ozempic is used originally to treat type 2 diabetes, but is increasingly being used to help with weight loss because it is a diet suppressant, and I guess it does other things that help people lose weight. I don't have an issue with people wanting to be in a body that they prefer or to do something that makes them feel better about themselves. I have no issues with that. My issue is taking away supply from people who need it, who need that drug in order to be alive. You don't need Ozempic for weight loss just to lose weight. Especially the people who have been said to be on Ozempic, their health is not at risk by not being on Ozempic. Whereas people with type 2 diabetes, they do have that. Again, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical expert in any way, but that was my issue with that. With the uptick in people wanting it, I don't know if that has led to a greater supply being made or for cost to go up or down or whatever. I have not been looking for Ozempic for any purpose whatsoever. So it's not something that has been a big part of my life. It's not been a big part of really most of the lives around me. But I think it's in yikes for the idea of bringing back diet culture and bringing back using medical methods to lose weight just for creating a self-image. Making people who don't use it to lose weight feel bad about themselves, who are trying to lose weight naturally, or just don't lose weight at all. It's not a priority for them. I think it goes away from the body positivity movement or even the body neutrality movement, where you don't have to worry necessarily about losing weight if it's not affecting your actual physical health, because it doesn't always do that. So I think it's gotten back into dieting and doing things that are not necessarily good for your soul and for your heart, in the idea of being good for your appearance. And I just don't like enforcing and bringing back those beauty standards where you have to be skinny and you have to not eat a lot in order to be attractive and acceptable in society. I don't necessarily have an issue with people using Ozempic, especially those who are using it for type 2 diabetes. If you have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and you are using it, please continue using it or consult your doctor or whatever you need to do. And I don't necessarily have an issue if there is enough supply and it is not necessarily driving up rates of how much it costs. You can use it for weight loss if that makes you feel better, but I don't like the society that it's creating as a result of that. Next, we have Sabrina Carpenter. Love her music. Vibes all around. Any controversies that this might be referencing, I don't care about them. They're tired, they're sexist. They really were all about Miley originally, and we can just move on. Now, the Mean Girls musical, I kind of forgot this happened. This is a dopamine hit because I did low-key forget about this, so it wasn't having staying power. I love that it got Renee Rapp into my consciousness. I love that it got the Renee Rapp live performances. I love that it got Not My Fault featuring Megan Thee Stallion, which hit my rap this year. It was a great time all around. I didn't actually watch the movie. Maybe I will. The media train around it was exciting. I did enjoy the hype of it. Next we have Usher. I'm going to just put that in the same of I Guess It Happened. I don't really have thoughts about the Super Bowl performance. I think it's Kendrick coming up this year. I will probably watch that because I'm more interested to see what he does because I know more of his songs. But good for Usher for getting the invitation, accepting it, and probably putting on a decent performance. I maybe one day will see it. Have no idea who these next two are. It makes me feel really out of the loop. I saw versions of this that had like 100 images, and I was like, that's a lot. Next we have the Drake and Kendrick beef. I Guess That Happened. It was something that I was hearing on days later, and because it was happening pretty live and like back and forth, and I was in a different time zone, it wasn't something I could keep too much track of. Some of the songs hit. I have felt like Drake has been overrated for a while, so I was okay with the fact that the general consensus is that Kendrick beat Drake in terms of that, but it seems like there's a lot of allegations of really bad, awful things, so it would go in yikes, but I'm going to put it in I Guess It Happened for the culture moment of it. I think a lot of people have been really wanting a beef that they could actually get their hands on, sink their teeth into. And so I'm going to put it in I Guess It Happened because it didn't really give me the dopamine or anything. I'm not a huge male rap fan anyway, but I do think that it was something that helped stimulate the culture when we felt like we needed something to go on. In the same category, but for completely different reasons, is the Lotto Ice Spice beef. Did not care. I guess it did happen. I'm aware that it happened. Do I care? No. I think Lotto is a much more accomplished rapper than Ice Spice. I think people have kind of like turned in terms of Ice Spice. I think they realized after Y2K they were like, we are not supposed to be this excited about this artist that is making a lot of poopy raps. And Lotto's music lately has actually been pretty decent. I actually do like it a little bit. I don't know. I don't think these two rappers are too at the forefront of my mind, especially in female rap. They are not the ones I'm thinking about on a regular basis. So they go in there, and I guess that happened because I guess it did happen, but I don't really care too much to think about it again. Another thing I don't care too much about is Tyla winning the VMA, and I think this is about like her speech about how she didn't want to be considered specifically Afrobeats because she's not really Afrobeats. She is making African music, but not necessarily in the Afrobeats specific genre. And I think that is important to talk about when we are talking about these global award shows if we are trying to make them more inclusive. Just saying best K-pop or best Afrobeats doesn't necessarily allow for artists that are maybe from that geographical region but don't necessarily adhere to that genre in particular. And I know there are just growing pains as we become more globalized in that and want to recognize more global talent. But I think people really just took it as her trying to distance herself from the other people in the category. I don't think that was that at all. I watched the entire VMAs, and I'm pretty sure Tyla was the only one in that category that was even present at the ceremony. And so I felt like people at the VMAs were just giving awards to the people who actually showed up because really no one else was showing up for most of these categories. And so I don't really have any annoyance about people winning awards at the VMAs. I don't think I have issues with it anymore because the biggest categories are all fan voted. So it's just whoever gets their fans in line. And of course the Swifties are going to get their fans in line for that. Even if I don't think Fortnite was the song of the summer, the video of the year, there's more Swifties than all the other artists that have nominations there. And so you're just going to have that happen. So I don't know. I don't get that annoyed about awards getting won. Grammys will probably routinely disappoint me because I think if they're billing themselves as the biggest night in music and that they are making the most important decisions in terms of music, and the fact that it does create a lot more hype around artists, Grammy nominations, Grammy winning artists often get more opportunities than those that don't. And so I feel like I have a different opinion for them. But for a VMA, it's a VMA. It's a moon man. It's literally a little astronaut guy. I don't really care what they do, except for Chappell Roan saying that she dedicated it to all the queer kids in the Midwest. Love her for that. My first musical yikes is probably going to go to Katy Perry's Woman's World. Oh God. Did y'all see that video? Did y'all hear that song? Did y'all hear she worked with Dr. Luke? I'm always on Team Kesha side pretty much all the time. So I didn't care for this. 143 was boring. There are a couple songs that I'm like, oh, they're all right. Like Lifetimes, I do enjoy that song. But I don't listen to it much. And I don't listen to much of the project because I don't really want to give Dr. Luke any of my time, any of my thought, any of my money, any of my streaming. Yeah, it's just not for me to want to do. And so, yeah, I moved on from the project very quickly. I think this one is the Timothée Chalamet look-alike contest. And yeah, I think a lot of people liked it. I'm honestly going to put it in I guess that happened. I didn't think about it much. Honestly, it was cool. And I do follow Anthony Poe on YouTube. So I actually just saw it. And I found out that everyone was really interested on it on social media. And so it did just happen. And I think it spawning other like in-person strangers meeting other people events. I think I like that. And maybe I'll put it in dopamine hit. Okay, I'm giving it dopamine hit specifically for the movement that started, that it gave people excuses to get together in person and meet strangers. And I think we have become extremely like isolated and just in our own selves and just doing things all by ourselves or with people online. And there is time for that, and there's room and space for that we can hold space for that. But I think there is something about humans being a social creature and how we are meant to communicate with people and have community and find community with each other. And I think this has helped spawn a movement of that. And I hope to see more events where people are getting together that don't necessarily know each other, but they have something in common. Maybe they all look like Timothée Chalamet, or they're all queer, or they're all people who are interested in a certain topic or something. And I think bringing people together in just unfamiliar situations, it helps you grow as a person. It helps you find other people who might have common interests or just might happen to be there at the right place at the right time. Great meet cutes happen. And I think that's something that we had kind of started to lose as a culture during the pandemic, and I'm glad to see it coming back. So I think for what it represents, I'm going to give it dopamine hit. The original thing being a Timothée Chalamet lookalike contest is not something I personally care too much about. It is just something that did happen, and I'm glad that it started the movement that did. I'm now going to go into Spotify 2024 Wrap. I'm going to put that in I Guess That Happened. They apparently, I didn't realize this, but they had fired a lot of their creative team behind Spotify Wrapped and everything. A lot of the stuff was the things we would get each year, and then some AI BS. And so I had to put it, and I guess that happened because, I enjoyed getting my stats. Apparently, a lot of other streaming platforms will give you the stats throughout the year. It doesn't make it as much of a surprise, and I do like it being something that you unwrap and figure out and realize over time, oh, shoot, this is what I did this year. But I think firing your creative team and going with AI-generated stuff that's not as interesting, and also having the big cuts in streaming and payouts for artists this year has not been great. I don't know if I really want to be talking about Spotify more on this channel, honestly. I think it's something that I have to think about more and decide whether I'm willing to continue listening to myself. All my playlists have been there for years at this point, so it's really hard to change it. And I think a lot of the other streaming platforms aren't necessarily much better, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I am trying to get a lot of the CDs of the albums that I tend to like a lot, so eventually I can go to only physical media, but I don't think that time is any time soon. Now we have Wicked. I really like this time. I'm gonna put it in my dopamine hit section because I don't know if it's necessarily something that I'm going to fully take on this year. Music is something I take between years. Wicked is not something I feel like I will take between years. I like musicals, I like movies, but it's not something I take for several years at a time. They have not held the same place in my heart as music does. I am excited that we are going to have Wicked Part 2 come out next year. That will be fun. And I have the press tour for this. I enjoyed watching it. And especially considering the fact that I don't watch a lot of movies, and this was a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. That was a lot to have myself focus on, and I still focused on it, and I enjoyed it. So I do appreciate it for that. I don't think it's an absolute highlight. No, I think it belongs in dopamine hit. It's a strong dopamine hit. It might be the strongest dopamine hit there, but it's still a dopamine hit. I don't know this woman. Stanley Cups. Yeah, I guess that happened. It's a refrigerating water bottle, basically. Y'all know what a Stanley Cup is. It keeps your cold things cold. It keeps your hot things hot. I don't think we needed a new version of the thermos, in my personal opinion. And I think it's just kind of funny that people got interested in it. It feels like the Visco Girl trend with the Hydro Flask. I guess a lot of people weren't on the internet that were popularizing the Stanley Cup at that time. Dang, I feel old now. But yeah, it's not something I have ever felt the need for. I have a lot of reusable water bottles. People give me reusable water bottles, and some of them are really good. Some of them are not really that good. And so I think it just happened, and anyone who has a Stanley Cup, that is okay for you to have it. You don't need a ton. You don't need to collect them. The whole idea of having a reusable version of something so you don't need to have as many because you can reuse it again and again. The idea that I should have 30 of these reusable tote bags. When are you carrying 30 bags of groceries? You're not. You're not. So you don't need that many versions of that unless you are using it like purses, and that's you still don't need 30 versions of that. Let's be environmentally conscious on that. It does take more resources to make a Stanley Cup than it does to make a plastic water bottle. The thing is that I think you're going to use more plastic water bottles than you will one cup. Fair enough. But again, you have to think in your head, how much are you actually going to use it? And especially they are expensive. So be thoughtful about how you purchase. Don't just, apply your same unsustainable behaviors to sustainable goods, because that still makes them an unsustainable part of your life. Next we have JoJo Siwa. I guess that happened. I don't think it was that cringe. It was a little cringe, but I feel like a lot of music is cringe. I think her saying that she invented gay pop was like, thank God Brat Summer and Chappell Roan, they were just waiting for someone to invent gay pop. And I'm really glad that she did that for all of us queers. So yeah, I think it just happened and I don't care too much about it. Have no idea whose baby that is. Good for y'all. Demure. I guess that happened. I think I didn't like how the word phonetically sounded at the beginning, and I think it was extremely overused. I am on a queer social network called Collective, and I saw it infiltrating everyone's caption before I saw anything on like YouTube, Instagram, anything. It was just all there. And I am very supportive of the person who originally created the trend. That's great. You are great. I'm glad that this somehow helped fund your transition. I'm so happy for you. But I don't necessarily need the word demure in my life. I think the very mindful, very cute. I like applying it in terms of like, oh, I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to be thinking. I don't have to be inconsiderate. I want to be considerate. I want to, go about my life. And I think it also just like gets you to really reflect on your actions, whether you're doing it in an authentic or satirical way. I think it is a way to reflect on your actions, but I would like to leave demure behind. Yeah, I would like to leave the word demure in the past. I don't want to think about it again. Right, I think this is my only one that's not music that's going to absolutely highlight Moodang. I was Moodang for Halloween, and I looked cute as heck as Moodang. I love this baby hippo with all my heart. Pesta the Penguin's not here for some reason. I didn't know him as well. Why am I acting like he's not still alive? He's still alive, but he did not have my heart like Moodang still has. I love Moodang still. I have not moved on from Moodang. I still follow the zoo on Instagram. I have not moved on. Y'all might have moved on, but I did not move on. Love this baby hippo. I love cute animals. And I think Moodang is just being very lovely. And then we're going to end with two that I don't know. I don't know who that is. Is that like Dove Cameron maybe? I don't know. I can't tell. Is that looks like Khalid, but I don't think that's Khalid. And then the greatest pop stars of the 21st century. This just happened. I read this list and I was like, okay. And then I think it just says like Beyonce, Taylor, Lady Gaga, I think are like the top 3 or something like that. I'm like, okay. Apples can be red, green, or yellow. The sky is most often blue. Water is wet. A hot dog is not a sandwich. Like things we already know. So it happened, and I don't think it's something that related to discourse. I think people just need to stop taking too much stock in music publications. I think that's where we got into trouble with Halsey, and people not even critiquing her album in a way that made any sense. I think it leads to the list that you're just going to be mad at. They just want the clicks and engagement. They don't actually care. Let's think about BuzzFeed and think about all the quizzes and stuff like that and how people used to get paid for that, and now they don't, because it's not real work to make a listicle. It's not real work to make a BuzzFeed quiz. And that mentality has not stopped Billboard, has not stopped Pitchfork, has not stopped many music publications from making things that don't matter. Like they simply just don't matter. It's literally like me posting a video on this internet. I enjoy doing it. You might enjoy watching it, but it does not matter at the end of the day. And so I think having discourse about it beyond maybe like a comment on a YouTube video is like, I don't know, a little extra and not something I need to take with me. All right, with that, that is the list. Yeah, we had a lot of hits and highlights and a lot of things that just kind of happened, and a lot of things clearly that I do not know what they're referencing. My apologies. I'm not chronically online. I'm often online, but that is actually a goal I'm trying to take into 2025, is to be less online. I think I just want to not do as much, not see as much, especially things that I don't care about. I think this list shows that for the most part, I either didn't like what I saw or didn't care that much. This is a lot of moments, and so I see that there is a lot I can still take from the year that I like. There's still plenty of this stuff that I can chew on and enjoy, take into the new time. But again, there's some trends that like consumerism rap beefs, discourse about things. I don't care about discourse anymore. As you can see, most of my things that are my highlights have no discourse about them. Like, yeah, there's these musicians, and I'm only really thinking about their music. I'm not thinking about the controversies when I rank them that high. And then a hippo. And who had critiques about the hippo? If y'all had critiques about Mudang, I'm coming for you. And then a lot of the dopamine hits, like, there might have been a little discourse, but it just seemed like everyone was having a good time. And I think that's what I want. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of bad things in the world. There's war. There's something that rhymes with cyanide by the hands of certain people that our nation is founding, if you live in the United States. There is a lot of bad things. The upcoming president. There are a lot of bad things, bad people in this world. And I think, generally speaking, when I am on the internet, I want it to be a positive experience. Maybe I will get my news a little bit, but I do not want to be arguing with people. I do not want to be engaged in discourse that is making me upset. I have enough going on. I am moving to one of the most populous cities in this country, and I have a lot of life to live, and I got all my love to give, and I will survive, but I will not deal with discourse and dealing with a lot of just negativity on the internet. It's just not something I want to put my face into, put my little fingers into. I just want to vibe, and I think thus has shown me that basically anything that is going to be just a general positive vibe about it is what I'm going to go for. Anything that's really negative is something I'm just going to fully steer clear of. And I think unless it's something that I find actually important to the fabric of our society, our world, to human lives, to human suffering and all that, then I think it's okay to just ditch that negativity, because it's not going to take me anywhere that's any better. It's not going to help anyone out if I do care. So I'm just going to choose not to. Please let me know your favorite and least favorite pop culture moments of the year. The ones I talked about, the ones I didn't know, the ones that were not on this list at all. Please let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked this video, please look up, just comment down below what you do next on my channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already and you'd like to be. And thanks for watching. This is TurtleStormer. Catch you later.